very prompt. Most people are like super late or just forget altogether. So thanks.
Yeah, dude, no worries. No worries. I try to be where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there, you know.
Nice shirt as well. I actually interviewed a girl a couple of days ago who's going to be opening up for them.
Oh, nice. What's her name?
Samantha Fish.
Okay, cool.
You know her? She's got a new album out today, actually. She's kind of like a blues guitar player, obviously opening up for ZZ Top. But I was kind of surprised that ZZ Top are playing at the moment. So
yeah, I guess they passed the bass position on to the tech, which was what Dusty, I told him he wanted, I guess.
Right. That's why it is. Yeah. Okay. So how's everything with you?
Good, man. I've actually we're working on some covers right now, some cover songs. And I got a new microphone and a kind of a new setup, and I'm just recording the vocals at home right now. I was just doing a Typo Negative song.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's this for? Is that it's a new project you're working on?
No, it's Spirit Adrift, just doing some cover songs. I can't really talk too much about it. I'll just leave it there. But they'll be coming out next year for sure.
Okay. I look forward to that. I think you're the kind of band that can do some great stuff with cover versions. So
thanks, man. Yeah, I like staying really, really true to the original. Like Pantera covering Black Sabbath, for instance, they play the song straight. I mean, it's a straight, totally accurate take on the original, but because it's Pantera playing it, it sounds like Pantera. But they're doing justice to the song. That's kind of what we did with Supernaut. That was our approach when we covered that song. Was like, let's play the song right and do our thing with it, but play it correctly. You know,
yeah,
that's kind of how we're approaching these covers too. My voice is all jacked up because I've been doing all that low Peter Steele stuff.
I was going to ask you, actually, the term heavy metal, you don't really hear people using that phrase much these days. It's all these different genres of metal or just metal. But I feel like Spirit Adrift is like heavy metal. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you know, I was gonna tweet some snarky shit when our EP came out about like how we're living in a world where you have to like qualify and excuse the fact that you're playing heavy music. You have to put a qualifier in there, like a trap metal or new metal revival or old school death metal revival, or there's always some word and then a dash and then metal, or like something tinged metal or something leaning metal, like electronic leaning metal, which that's all cool. Like I love the Genghis Tron record that came out this year. And if that's what people like, that's cool. I get that, especially in America right now, like metal's just not drawing the numbers that this like kitschy, shticky, fucking weird, ironic shit is. So I get that, but I don't care. I don't fucking care. I don't like any of that shit, really. I like some electronic music, so that's not a great example, but like new metal and I'm making the music I want to make, and I like metal. And we have like different influences too. Like Neil Young gets in there and Tom Petty, and you know, I was telling somebody recently, even like 3-6 Mafia, I draw a lot of inspiration from their beats and rhythms and shit. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that goes into it. But when it comes out, it's just metal, and that's okay. Metal's fucking awesome. I love it. And yeah, it's totally fine to just be a metal band. And I think there's some bands that are like coming out of the woodwork that are embracing that. You know, hopefully it becomes cool again once this ironic shit sort of dies out and we get our society back on track, you know?
Going back like a long time, what's the first music you remember listening to, like when you're at home as a kid?
Creedence.
Okay, classic.
Yeah, there's like Raffi tapes and shit, and you know, I remember seeing like Disney's Halloween Treat when I was a little kid. It's like this weird compilation of like scary Disney shit. And I remember like the night on Bald Mountain, you know, the classical scary piece.
Right.
But other than that, like the first real band or like artist that I was aware of like very, very early on in life was Creedence. And then
is that because it was something your parents were listening to? It was in the house?
Like my grandparents, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They had like a greatest hits CD, which I actually just found on vinyl at the record store here in my hometown. And it's one of those things where I'm so used to, like, I have all the albums that all of the songs came from, right, but I'm so used to that greatest hits record that the track listing is, I'm more used to the songs coming in that order that they come in on the greatest hits than I am the actual album. So I picked it up, and definitely like a blast from the past. And, you know, Creedence led into like, I remember hearing Leonard Skinner really early on, and I had probably like heard Sweet Home Alabama in the background of my life at some point, but I never really noticed it. But that song Tuesday's Gone from the first Leonard Skinner record starts with those like bendy guitars. And so that got me, I just kept getting more and more interested in that kind of music. And then Jimi Hendrix was the guy that really, like, I had to get a guitar when I heard Jimi Hendrix.
Where did you discover Jimi Hendrix? Was it through family as well?
No, that was on an Apple computer commercial when they debuted like the iMacs with the big shells, and the one was like transparent purple, and they were playing Purple Haze on the commercial.
Gotcha.
And I just remember being like, holy shit. I was probably 12 years old. I just remember thinking that was like the heaviest, most exciting thing I'd ever heard, you know?
And did you go out and start buying records around that time?
Yeah, CDs. I forget what it was called. Experience Hendrix, I think. It was the greatest hits of Jimi Hendrix.
I think he's had quite a few greatest hits over here.
Yeah. At some point I got this compilation called 30 by Leonard Skinner, and it's like spelled kind of like their name, THYRTY, you know? And that had a bunch of cool stuff on it. That had some demos on it, actually, that I didn't even find until way later. So yeah, I started buying CDs at that point. I had that Creedence Greatest Hits, Jimi Hendrix, Skinner, and then discovered Black Sabbath again on TV. And that was like game over after that. You know, Jimi Hendrix made me pick up a guitar, but Black Sabbath was like another level. It made me want to figure out exactly what it was they were doing. Like, what's a band? How does a band work? How do you start a band? And it just made me, I knew in my core that that's what I had to do. When I heard and saw that band, it was over. It was fucking over in that instant, man.
So at what age did you get your first guitar?
12 or 13. Probably 12. I think I got the guitar before I heard Black Sabbath, and I started learning Jimi Hendrix songs and stuff like that. And then when I heard Black Sabbath, and then right after that, got into Metallica. That's when I really started picking up steam playing the guitar. So that was like I got it at 12, and then really got into it at like 13 or 14, probably. Okay.
And what records were you playing along to on the guitar? Like you mentioned Sabbath, were you learning those songs?
Yeah. Every Ozzy Sabbath album from the first one through Sabotage, I was sitting there learning. At one point I knew, because I didn't have any friends when I was 12 or 13. I was weird. I was like just didn't get it, didn't get people, didn't want to really get people, and they didn't get me. So I just fucking sat there and played guitar. And yeah, first 5 Ozzy Sabbath albums. At one point I knew the first 4 or 5 Metallica records. I knew like every part. I knew James's parts. I knew Kirk's parts. I knew Cliff's parts. You know, I didn't have a bass. I would just like learn everything else and get bored and figure out what Cliff was doing, or try to. Yeah. And that was how I learned how to play guitar.
At what point did you actually decide that rather than just sitting in a corner playing guitar, that you wanted to start writing music and doing it a bit more seriously?
Man, I don't know exactly. I can't remember like the exact moment. I know my first band, we started off, I think our first show we played all covers. And I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma that's like super conservative and Christian and shit. And wasn't a whole lot of people to play with, but the guy that introduced me to Metallica played bass. And then I had this other friend who played drums. Actually, I don't think any of the three of us really liked each other. But then we realized like we were the only guys playing instruments. And so we became friends and started a band, covered like Misfits. We learned like almost every Danzig Misfits song at some point, covered like Nirvana, shit like that. And yeah, eventually we just started writing our own songs. I think I was in 8th grade when we played our first show.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Were you just doing it for fun at that point, or did you really take it seriously and wanted to kind of see how far you could go with it?
Man, we were just kids. Like, I don't even know what the motivation was other than just boredom and yeah, just like angst. We just liked fucking playing and making loud music. And, you know, at first, one of the big motivations, I remember when we played our first show and I was in 8th grade, and like the chick in school that everybody was into, who never fucking acknowledged me, came up and like grabbed me and hugged me. And like that, any dude that starts a band that says that like getting laid wasn't ever a motivation is fucking lying. When you're 13 and like nobody's paying attention to you and you play a show and then all the girls are paying attention to you, that's a big motivator. But you know, eventually I stopped really caring about that. And it did become more about like doing something cool and doing something worthwhile and just fulfilling what I believe to be my purpose.
What happened in your life between that time and Spirit Adrift starting?
Man, lots of shit. Lots of chaos and, you know, just pretty much being a wild person. You know, I started partying pretty hard really young, and didn't stop until I turned 27. And there were lots of bands, a whole lot of bands, a lot of touring, a lot of just chaos, like I said. And then 27 years old, I kind of got my shit together. And that's when I started Spirit Adrift. I got sober and wrote the first EP like the week I got sober, and then I recorded it the next month. And then it's just been all consuming since then. That was 2015.
I think 27 seems to be a pivotal year for a lot of people, right?
That's part of what motivated me to stop killing myself, because I had gotten to the point that physical death was the next step. And I look back and I don't know how I didn't die, because I've watched a lot of people die that didn't do to their bodies what I did to mine. And I just don't understand it. It's such a weird feeling to survive something like that, and when other people don't. But the 27 thing was a big motivator, because I didn't want to, you know, there's a 27 club, but all those people like Jim Morrison and Janis Joplin and Hendrix, they all did great shit. They're immortal, you know. It still sucks that they died young or whatever, but at least they did some really cool shit. I was analyzing my own life. I was like, dude, if you join that 27 club, you're just a fucking idiot, loser, asshole, because you haven't done, like, don't compare yourself to those great fucking people that accomplished such monumental things. And I started thinking about it that way. Like, I'm going to die and I'm going to be 27 when I die. And that's the dumbest fucking thing I could possibly do. And so, yeah, I quit. I got it together.
Well, I'm glad you did. So when that happened and you started Spirit Adrift, it was more of your own project. What was your goal for it at that point?
It's funny. It was the most pure endeavor that I've ever undertaken in music or life or anything else. Because, like I mentioned, when you're a kid and you start a band and girls start paying attention to you, that is a motivating factor. That factors into what you're doing a little bit, whether you want it to or not. When you're a little bit older, you want to get a record deal, or you want to go on tour, and you want to do this and that. And that starts filtering into the way that you make your art and the way that you think about what you're doing, whether you want it to or not. And Spirit Adrift was honestly the first time that I started a musical endeavor and I had no intention. For one thing, when you get sober after being fucking obliterated in the void for like 15 years straight, you're not really capable of having rational thoughts or like strategic thoughts or anything like that. It's just kind of blank upstairs. So I don't even think I could have set out with any intentions, even if I wanted to. Nice. So it literally was just, I had these songs. I've always turned to music and playing guitar and writing songs. I've always turned to that to help me in my life. And so that's what I did. Just, it was natural. I didn't even think about it. I had no intentions of recording, really. No intentions of it being a band, nothing. And so it was just totally pure. And I've really made an effort to, what are we, 5 years later, we put out our first EP in 2016. And a lot of things have changed. We've had record deals, we've had tours, we've had this and that. And there's lots of temptation to want to fit in with what's going on. And I've just made such an effort to remember what this was all about when it started, which was just making the music that I want to make. And that's it. And I don't care what happens with it. And ironically, by doing that, it's been, the most successful band that I've been in.
It's true. And that happens a lot, I think. What does success mean to you at this point?
Making good music. That's pretty much it. Being honest with myself, being honest with I was talking to my wife yesterday about how so many people, there is a filter between them and reality. And that filter could be like identity politics that you've latched yourself onto, that you've, allowed to define your personality, or it could be drugs, which it was in my case, drugs and alcohol, anything. There's all these filters between people and reality to make living less painful or whatever. And success, I guess, to me as a person and as an artist, is to fucking obliterate that filter as much as I can and just live in reality and make music that I love and that I believe in. And if it helps other people the way that bands like Black Sabbath and stuff like that helped me, then that's awesome. But I think the only way you can do that is by making real, honest music.
Yeah. And you said you've relied on music a lot throughout your life, especially later on. In the last year and a half, when we've had all this kind of crazy stuff going on in the world, what part has music played in your life during that time?
Same part it always has, man. Like I listen to it, it makes me feel better. Like this new Turnstile record that came out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Holy shit. The world needed that. The world needed that. I needed that. And I'm kind of jaded and cynical and shit, which is what happens when you climb the ladder in the music business, I guess. But every once in a while, I hear something like that, and it makes me feel like a kid again. The new Cannibal Corpse, same thing. So as a fan of music, it's still like, just makes me feel really good. And then as someone who creates music, that's what really keeps me sane. I'm like, I stay in the center of music at all times, whether I'm listening to it for pleasure or you know, a lot of times I'll listen to it to study. It's almost like research or something. I went and saw Megadeth the other day, and I was enjoying it as a fan. And that little kid came out because I'd never seen Megadeth, and they were one of the very earliest bands I got into. But I was also like researching Dave Mustaine. Like, how is this possible? How can I do a better job of striving for that level of just like domination of your instrument, you know? So it's all encompassing, man. It's all I do, really.
Yeah. And then you just released this EP, which was kind of the child of the pandemic in a way. Was that like something that you were doing from the beginning of lockdown? Was that something that you'd planned before that, or it just kind of happened because you had the time?
Yeah, it was definitely like lockdown started and I immediately started writing and demoing songs. So it's, you know, a lot of people thought Enlightened in Eternity was connected to the situation that we're in right now, but it was actually finished before, you know, coronavirus started spiraling out of control. But the EP, 100%, like as soon as I saw the writing on the wall and shows started getting canceled and our tours started getting canceled, I just started writing songs, and it felt similar to when I got sober. It was just something that happened because I needed it. And there was no intention of making an EP or a record or anything like that. I was going to figure all that out later. But I think I wrote and demoed like 12 songs, threw them all out, and then ended up with 3, and then started working on the next album.
Now, you've mentioned in the release of this EP the word perseverance, and perseverance seems to be a bit of a theme throughout your life, and not just in the last year and a half, but for quite a while. So how are you feeling right now? 2021, you just put this EP out. Things are starting to open up. Are you feeling positive about how things are going for you in the world?
Not really, man. Today I feel okay because I've been doing a lot of work. But, you know, I feel worse in 2021 than I felt in 2020, for sure. Because in 2020, I had this hope that we were going to get back on tour soon. And then, you know, that kind of made the situation a little more bearable last year. But now I'm a whole extra year into this shit. Last year was the first year. Now I already have all of that fucking frustration, and I'm just an impatient person, and it's just so challenging for me to just sit here. I feel like what it probably feels like to be an athlete in their prime, about to like go to the Olympics or something. They get injured and they're sidelined for 2-3 years. I think that this is probably similar to what that feels like. So this year's been harder for me than 2020 for sure. You know, I fluctuate. So, but like you said, it's perseverance. I wake up and I do what I'm supposed to do, regardless of how I'm feeling. And the past couple days, yesterday and the day before especially, I was just really struggling with like, when are we going to go back on tour? Like, yeah, it's just so frustrating, man. And I know there's nothing I can do, and there's so many other people in the same boat. But, you know, I did an interview with my friend Annie O'Connor, and I told him I quit music every single day, which is normal. That's been going on for a long time. But I just quit every day. It's so frustrating. I feel like I'm just swimming against the tide or something. But then I convince myself that that's bullshit and I'm not going to quit. I tried that before and it didn't work. So I'm stuck playing music, regardless of whether I can tour or not.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, once you do get to tour again, and, you know, hopefully it's just a matter of time now, you're going to appreciate it even more, and you're probably going to just soak it up more than you ever did. And hopefully that's going to be the positive result of perseverance, right?
You're 100% right, man. I was burned out on touring, and now I'm just like, yeah, you're right. I'm definitely going to be a lot more appreciative of it than I was.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll get on tour as soon as possible and things will start kind of correcting themselves. And if you do, we hope you make it up to Montreal, which is where we are.
Listen, the coolest show Spirit Adrift ever played was in Montreal at Turbo Haus. That was the fucking
great venue.
Oh my God. I've never seen people react to our music like that. It was awesome. So we'll be back to Montreal as soon as we can, believe me.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to that time. And thanks for chatting with me today. I really enjoyed talking to you. And stay positive. And we'll see you. Man. We'll see you in a sweaty room sometime soon, I hope.
Yeah, it'll happen, brother.
All right. Thanks again. You take care.
You, man. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.